My most rewarding task is the fact that people recognize the University of Tennessee as being a leader in women's athletics.
The Lady Vols, a program that has revolutionized women's collegiate sports. Dating back to 1976, head athletic director Gloria Ray adopted the Lady Vol name, but the program's identity started taking shape even earlier through leaders who saw beyond the scoreboard and into the future of women's athletics. Athletic Director Emeritus Joan Cronin is widely recognized for her statements about the impact of women's athletics.
Tennessee said yes to women before it was cool and gave us an opportunity.
When Cronin arrived in 1968 as head women's basketball coach, she faced challenges that went far beyond the court. There were no orange uniforms for women. White wasn't allowed for home games, and the few brands making women's athletic gear didn't cater to Tennessee's iconic orange color. So, she got creative, choosing a shade of Carolina blue that complemented Tennessee orange. That color, later known as Summit Blue, would become a signature part of the Lady Vol identity, named in honor of legendary coach Pat Summitt. But Cronin's legacy isn't just about colors or titles. When she became athletic director in 1983, she pushed the program to new heights, putting women's sports on national television and creating opportunities that inspired generations. Former Lady Vol Nikki Fargas, who played under Coach Summitt, remembers the movement that was the Lady Vol program.
Women's basketball wasn't in demand like it is now. It took a Tennessee to make them have to put us on television. You can't deny this product. You can't deny how great these women are and the way that we play the game, how we played the game.
For players like Fargas, being a Lady Vol meant more than wearing the power tee. It meant embodying a standard of excellence in the classroom, the community, and on the court. That standard still defines Tennessee athletics today. And it's a legacy that continues to shape the next generation of women's sports leaders. From the WNBA to collegiate coaches, former Lady Vols are everywhere.
But you know what I'm proudest of is the young women that we developed that have gone on to be doctors, lawyers, professional athletes, professional media. We have a whole slew of our former Lady Vols that are on television now. So I'm proud of what they've become, and we hope that our program was a part of helping them be successful.
Including Las Vegas Aces president, Fargas credits the program's culture for her success.
At the time, Tennessee was two separate departments. So you had women's sports, and you had men's sports. We had Joan Cronin was the athletic director for women's sports. Jenny Moshack was our lead trainer for women's sports. Carrie Holland oversaw all things academic for women's sports. Debbie Jennings, anything media, sports information, was women's sports. So I got to see a lot of women in leadership roles for a institution that was operating and outdrawing attendance-wise, our ability to move the needle for not just basketball being on television, nationally televised, but in the sports. That's who Pat Summitt was. She became a movement.
Today, that legacy still lives on in student athletes like Riley West, a recent Lady Vol graduate who understands what it means to carry that history.
I think to continue on the Lady Vol legacy, it's like holding yourself to the same standard or even better before you graduated. I know when you're constantly in the uniform, constantly practicing, walking around town, you know you're a Lady Vol, but afterwards you're always a Lady Vol, you're LVFL. So you're holding yourself to an even higher standard because you know what it took to be in that position and how you got to be in that position. And now that you've done it, you have to put on such a good example for everyone who comes after you. So it's tough, but you're just holding yourself to a higher standard.
For Riley, being a Lady Vol isn't just about competition, it's about representing something bigger. She's part of a program that has inspired young girls for decades and continues to set the standard for women's athletics across the country.
I think there's just no better time to be a female in athletics, and especially a Lady Vol, just because they're the trailblazing program for female athletics, and now all athletics across the country are on a rise. So when you're the top of the top, being a Lady Vol, it's extra special. So there's just no better time to have your name attached to being a Lady Vol for life and going to Tennessee.
The connection between generations from Cronin to Summit, from Fargus to West, shows how the Lady Vol spirit has stood the test of time. And even as women's sports continue to evolve, Tennessee remains a symbol of what's possible when excellence meets opportunity. Because the Lady Vols aren't just a team, they're a family, a movement, and a legacy that continues to grow. For the Volunteer Channel, I'm Karsten Hoagland.